Preseason game number 2 is nearly in the books. Got a lot of interesting things to talk about, Levin, including one position battle that is sure to set 49ers Twitter ablaze. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Instant Reaction podcast on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Network. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levin Black. Levin, do we have a punter controversy in San Francisco?
No, we don't. Nick Wisnowski led the league last year with 50% of his punts downed inside the 20. That's what everybody's giving Harvin praise for. Harvin, there were 33 punters that had at least 30 punts last year. He was 32nd out of 33 in average yards per punt.
I'm just kidding. I wasn't actually asking for a punter breakdown.
All right, I'm just saying like that. There's zero competition there. Harvin has always been somebody that's wildly inconsistent. He's had punts over 70 yards before for the Steelers, and then he'll have a punt where he shanks it.
Again, enough punter breakdown. We had plenty to talk about in the game. Saints are driving now to try and come back and take the lead. We'll keep you abreast of all that, as I know you're waiting on bated breath. Few things stuck out to me, though, Levin. I mean, first of all, is Josh Dobbs QB2? He made some really good plays tonight.
Josh Dobbs should be QB2 because he's what you want in a QB2. He's smart, and he brings the ability for the crazy play. Yes. Because your backup is never going to be, oh, this is a guy that just can execute the playbook and get it to the right guy consistently. No, if your backup is that, he's a starter, because that's hard enough for starters to do. There's not 32 quarterbacks in the NFL that are capable of reading a defense pre and post snap and getting it to the right guy. If you have a backup that isn't going to turn the ball over like crazy and can have a spectacular play every once in a while, that's all you can ask for out of a backup.
Josh Dobbs played one quarter in the game. He threw 21 passes. He was 12 of 21 for 133. Also had 3 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown. He is big back there. He stands strong in the pocket. He's way more athletic than you would think, especially for a guy his size. I know, he's not, you're talking about a backup quarterback, but I kind of like him a little more. He's got a little more juice than Brandon Allen, frankly.
Yeah, for me, I want a backup quarterback that can be like you're catching lightning in a bottle.
You're right.
Where, yeah, if you have to count on him for a 4, 6, 8 game stretch, you're screwed. But if you can get him just that one, in the third quarter or the fourth quarter when your starter gets injured, he can come in and have a couple spectacular plays and get you through to get you the win.
Yeah.
That's what I look for in a quarterback. I don't care for I think there are some coaches out there and some fans that prefer, oh, well, this guy, he's never going to take the risks and he's never going to do anything spectacular, but he's also never going to ever turn the ball over, like a CJ Beathard. I would much rather have a Josh Dobbs than a CJ Beathard as a backup.
Brisbee Life on Twitch, shout out to the Twitch fam, says, I feel way better about our backup quarterback situation than last year. I have to agree. Even Tanner Mordecai at the end of the game, looked kind of interesting as a player. But yeah, Brandon Allen has been okay this preseason. Josh Allen, like we just talked about, has made some plays. So I agree. I feel good about that. One thing I didn't feel good about, Levin, what the hell was Brock Purdy doing in this game? First of all, Kyle Shanahan rested like all the starters except for like 3, yet Brock Purdy is in there, and I put it on the play calling, which is Kubiak, because Shanahan again didn't call plays. By the way, the game is, I think, over now officially. The Niners win. I put it on the play calling. I put some on Brock. There was a bootleg where he's out there and he's like swirling around and extending the play, and he took a big hit. Like, dude, just throw it away. It was not good. Brock Purdy. It wasn't good when he was in there. The receivers around him weren't good. The play calling wasn't good. I was a nervous wreck watching Brock Purdy.
It made no sense for him to be in this game. If you want to play your quarterback and give him a series or two, and your quarterback wants that, which to me, this reeked of Purdy said, I want a couple series.
Yeah.
Then give him his pass catchers. because that was the problem. You had Trent Taylor trying to get separation. Guess what? Not going to work. That, like, you're playing your star quarterback, but you're giving him a bunch of people that have no chance of getting open against the starters of the other team. Like, that was the big thing. Like, the receivers started to get open in the second quarter because that's when the Saints went to their backups. If you're going to play Purdy against the Saints starters, you got to give him a starting caliber receiver or tight end, somebody that can at least give him a chance.
He was not good. He made a bad decision on that play I talked about where he just like threw the ball up for grabs. It was almost intercepted. For a while, that was the highlight of the first half, was Eric Saubert breaking up that interception. Warlock, watching on YouTube, says the great anticipator Brock Purdy is giving us a preview of how the season will go without BA, and when the receivers can't get separation, he needs to play without anticipating every throw. I mean, look, if your big knock is, Brock Purdy sucks when he's got a bunch of scrubs around him going against the other team's one. Okay. I know you tweeted this at me several times, Warlock. I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. But Brock Purdy's going to look better when he actually has his starting offense out there.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been just as effective as you and I being the starting wide receivers. So.
Hey, man, I can get open on a screen route like nobody's business.
Yeah, I doubt that, in all honesty. But no, like, you can't take anything about Purdy's play in this game. Like, there's zero takeaway from it because absolutely nobody was open, and just nothing happened. I mean, he showed his escapability, I guess, sort of, kind of, but like, we know that existed. So, like, there's nothing to take away here. You didn't
throw it away.
You didn't even have backup caliber wide receivers, because the only wide receiver I saw in this game that looked like a true backup caliber wide receiver was Jacob Cowing, and he didn't play when Purdy was in.
Yeah.
All the others are, you can go away. You can be cut. If some team wants to claim you, oh well. We'll get one or two of you on the practice squad, whichever two that we deem are the best of what's left. Like, there's none of them I'm scared of cutting. I'm not scared of cutting Ronnie Bell. I'm not scared of cutting Trent Taylor. God. Chris Conley's probably the best of them, but I'm not scared of cutting him. He was cut multiple times last year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they can get him or someone like him. And I don't agree with the whole anticipator thing about Brock Purdy. Yeah, he throws with anticipation. He's not out there guessing, though. He knows where the receivers are going to be, so he can throw with anticipation. I just don't know how you can look at tonight's performance and like not criticize Brock Purdy as if like, oh, he's been exposed now. I mean, we have a whole friggin' season plus of data that shows that Brock Purdy is way better than what he showed tonight.
Right. We did get an answer to a decades-old question, though, tonight. Got milk? The Niners do with Jacob Cowing.
Milk?
Cowing? Come on. It's not that hard, Rob.
You said milk. It threw me. It's pronounced milk. There's an I, an A, first of all. But I totally agree on Cowing. I thought he looked very good. He had a deep ball down the line, down near the right sideline that Dobbs threw, where he tracked it very well, made a nice catch. He ended up on the day 4 catches for 51 yards, which led the team on 5 targets. Yeah,
he also had a 19-yard run.
Yeah, which really was kind of blown up, and he sort of made something out of nothing, where he kind of created a little space, a little hesitation with the defender, and then he is as fast as his 40 time. What did he run? A 4.36 or 4.38, something like that. He plays like it on the field, and that was readily apparent. And I think the fact that he got that run shows you that they already know, like, we got something here.
Right. Like, he looks like somebody that could be a starter in the future. Now, that's a lot to just take away from a single preseason. It's a small little glimpse. But he looks like somebody that has that potential. And to show that as a rookie late round pick, that's saying something. Like, he looked like somebody that I started watching him every play once he got in, because I did not care to watch anybody else at that point, pretty much. So I was watching him even when he didn't get the ball, and just his routes as best I can, on a broadcast, because he disappears within 2 seconds of the snap. But he seemed to me like he gets good releases. His cuts, usually he got separation when he made his cuts. So he's doing a good job there. And then, like we saw, he catches the ball And even after the catch on some of those, he was able to create space. The run was really impressive. So it looks like there's some real potential there.
TNK Hunting Gear, thank you very much, says, here come the Dobbs for number 1. Dobbs is good, but there's a reason he's been on 3 different teams over the past several seasons. Solid backup, but he's not a starter and not better than Purdy. Yeah, if anyone was seriously saying that, I mean, come on. But Dobbs was very good. We didn't say he was better than Purdy. So if that's what you think we were saying, TNK Hunting Gear, you are very much mistaken. But Dobbs, I thought, was better than Brandon Allen. And Brandon Allen wasn't bad. I thought Dobbs was really good. He made that one run where he scrambled from one side of the field to the other. He was impressive, and I agree with you. He gives you a little more than just like a guy that can throw it to the open man when he needs to, and I like that. I like the fact that on 4th and goal, they dialed up an option play for him. That's just another thing that the defense, would have to worry about if he ended up having to play for any amount of time. I liked that he broke a tackle and flipped into the end zone.
The question is, does Kyle prefer that? Because Brandon Allen is definitely the, he's going to do what I tell him. And Dobbs is definitely the type, like I would imagine in this game, Kyle was going, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, not there. Okay. I'm sure Kyle was like freaking out during the plays, and then it would turn into something good and he would be okay with it. So does he prefer that in his backup or not?
It's a good point. He wasn't calling plays again tonight, which I'm really interested to see.
He called first half, I believe. It was second half. That's what the broadcast said. The broadcast said Kubiak took over in the second half.
I thought he told Christina Pink that he didn't. I don't know. We'll get clarification after the game. By the way, we mentioned the Jacob Cowing play, and I want to actually just throw it up real quick, just so people, if you didn't see it, there's Dobbs, second quarter, drops back right in the bucket, catches it right near the sideline, makes the catch. It was nice to see a rookie, come in for the 49ers and actually show something right away. And that's what they got this year, Levin. This draft class looks like they may actually contribute on the field in 2024, which is not something we've seen. Pooney continues to be awesome. He looks solid out there. Cowing looks good. Renardo Green made a couple of plays in this one, had a couple nice, and he was matched up against Chris Olave, which is, a tough assignment. Like, we may actually get some legitimate, real contributions from the rookie class this year, and it's great. They need it.
This is the best rookie preseason game since Jalen Hurts' multiple touchdown game. It's been that long.
Right? Jeez.
It's I want to see Pearsall, which I don't think we're going to see him in the preseason. I don't think we'll see him in the preseason, but I threw it up on Twitter. If Pearsall is better than Cowing, then they got 5 really strong wide receivers, because Cowing looked better than a 5th wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And that's what he would be if Pearsall is better than him.
You know what I thought was interesting? There was a tweet early in the night. It may have even been before the game I saw it. It was from Tim Kawakami. There it is. Okay, good. I just found it. And somebody was like, hey, Pearsall was not on the inactive list that had been tweeted out. Is he playing? And Kawakami tweeted, he's not active, hasn't been practicing due to a minor shoulder injury. And I was like, ooh, is Tim throwing a little shade there at Ricky Pearsall, not practicing? I didn't.
Nah, that's shade at Kyle, because Kyle called it minor.
Maybe. I don't know. But when I saw him describe it that way, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Again, Pearsall is a guy that didn't miss a game in 5 years in college. He never missed a game. So he was not a guy that has a long history of injuries. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to get out there. And I really have wanted to sort of unwrap that present, and we haven't gotten the chance to do it yet.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like the last first-round pick. Never did unwrap that one.
Nope, that one is still sitting under the tree, although he did look a little better for the Cowboys in game number 2. I don't know if you happened to catch that.
Looked better, but still did not look like a first-round quarterback.
He looks faster to me, which is crazy because this is after the ankle injury. He looks like more athletic and faster, but he's still wildly inconsistent throwing the ball. All right, I promise that's the end of the Trey Lance talk on the show. Okay, so we talked Cowing, we talked Dobbs. Curtis Robinson, linebacker. You know what? I think I've seen all I need to see of Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. Whatever. Goodbye. I think I'm on the Curtis Robinson train.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a youth movement there. The guys that were here last year, not named Greenlaw and Warner, that contributed,
Yeah.
they don't need to be brought back. And they were exposed every time that they were needed, they were exposed. They lost the Super Bowl because they couldn't cover anybody.
It wasn't great. And what was it, 9 of 9 in coverage? Greenlaw's replacement was targeted 9 times, gave up 9 receptions. It was kind of ugly. Lauren says, how much cap space do we clear if we cut Wisnowski and keep the backup? A lot of people, I saw a lot of
1.2 million. I actually looked it up out of curiosity when everybody was posting about it. Was he has a $2.8 million cap hit this year, and they save like 1.2 million if he's cut.
a lot of people were cut Wisnowski, give his money to Ayuk. I saw a lot of those tweets. Ayuk was apparently in the building. I don't remember seeing them go to him on the sideline, which you would think if he was on the sideline at one point, they would have showed him. And I just missed it.
I don't think he was on the sideline. They said he's in the building. I don't think he was on the sideline.
Let me just tell you, it is pouring rain at my house right now. I have gotten at least 4 life-threatening alerts on my cell phone where it's like, you are in a life-threatening situation, seek higher ground. Literally, I've gotten like 4 or 5 of those today. It is biblically raining at my house right now. So I may have missed a couple of things on the TV broadcast because the TV was like literally like going in and out. It's crazy here right now.
This must have been a storm that stayed north of me.
I guess
I had some storms yesterday, I guess. Because you're like a day after me.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah, I get stuff from back home, which is the state of Indiana. About 24 hours later, I get it. And about 24 hours after me is about the time it hits Connecticut and all that.
Benjamin Bayer, YouTube channel member, shout out to Benjamin, says, while there are a few good and strong contributors, this defense looked generally bad. A lot of penalties. And I feel like most of the penalties came on defense. You know, that was a problem in the first preseason game, too. They had 8 in the game against the Titans. They had 7 more tonight. And look, I know it's preseason and some of those are committed by backups, but like we've seen this team come out in early in the season and start sloppily with the penalties. And they did it so far this year, too.
If you want to talk bad, what we saw bad, Juwan Taylor can be cut. Like, I would claim any offensive tackle that is cut by another team to at least see what they have, then keep running Juwan Taylor out there. He was horrible in this game. I was watching him when Purdy was in. He was getting whooped every rep. If you know you have a commodity and the commodity is terrible, there's no point keeping it. You better roll the dice on somebody else's cast off.
You talking about Jalen Moore?
Or Jalen Moore? What did I say?
Juwan Taylor.
I don't know why I always think Juwan Taylor in my head, and then I've never actually said it out loud. I think Juwan Taylor in my head, and I go, no, it's Jalen Moore.
Jalen Moore, yeah. He was, and he was a guy that we kept hearing was having a really good camp. And it was like, was he having a really good camp, or are we saying that because Trent Williams is holding out for more money, so now we're trying to pump up the guy that's behind it? Is that really what's happening here?
Yeah, he's just not good. We've seen him in multiple games just get absolutely toasted. And he was getting toasted in this game. I saw one of the offensive line gurus on Twitter, one of the guys that actually know offensive line. They said it was one of his worst games.
And
he's had some bad ones.
That's a hard list. Kyle Shanahan has begun speaking. Jordan Mason did not play due to hip soreness in this game. Also, D. Winters sustained a bruised knee in practice, so that's why he did not suit up tonight. Don't love that. A lot of those injuries piling up for the 49ers, unfortunately.
I think those two, they played if it's regular season. Even McCaffrey, after the first preseason game, let it leak out.
Yep.
Accidentally, I think, said, if this was regular season, I would have played.
Yeah. So I didn't see anyone else get injured, although this is like JJ McCarthy didn't look like he got hurt. And then the next day we found out he was going to miss the entire season. So we won't really know until tomorrow when Kyle, has a chance to talk to everybody and everybody wakes up the next day and they feel good. But at least we didn't see anybody. I know Nick Franklin, I think the D tackle got hurt at one point, but he was back. So knock on wood. Let's hope. Because the other thing, Levin, is that their next game is on Friday. So this is a short week too. So and then of course after Friday's game, they have that week of death. I hate that dead week between the end of the preseason and the start of the regular season. It's the longest week of the year. But so they'll have time, but they are going to be on a short week this week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, who plays on Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Does he play a little bit more of the starters because there is that long break? Or does he play a little more of the starters because they are so like light on guys that they need to get a half quarter or a quarter out of some of the starters just because there's only one or two backups that are healthy?
I mean, Kyle said that none of these are serious injuries, so hopefully that's true. Because yeah, there was a lot of guys banged up, and we just added 2 more, as I just mentioned. Chris Waddell, thank you very much for the super chat. You guys probably already said this, but it makes no sense for Purdy to play today with a makeshift offense against the first string defense. Super dumb. Also, where was Mason? Yeah, so we just found out Mason was sore, so that's why he didn't play. And then yes, we did lead the show talking about how terrified I was that Brock Purdy was going to get hurt, and then he started taking hit. I texted Levin before the game. I have a bad feeling about Brock Purdy, and then boom, immediately 2 out of the first 3 pass plays he gets hit. I was like, no,
This is what the Niners had with Purdy out there. They didn't have their first, second, third, or presumed fourth string wide receivers, with Pearsall being fourth. And they didn't have their first, second, or third string running backs, potentially fourth, depending on where you think the rookie ends up. So, because they didn't have McCaffrey, they didn't have Mason, they didn't have Eli Mitchell, and they didn't have Garundo. So, like, they were missing their top 4 at both running back and wide receiver. Why was Purdy in this game?
Other than that, it was
no Kittle either. So
Brisbee Life on Twitch says it wasn't enough for the Niners to have the worst rest deficit in the league during the regular season. They also had to put them on a deficit for the preseason too. And they do have the extra day of rest because they play on Monday night in week 1, as Lauren Klein pointed out earlier. So I guess that is true.
That is the worst. Like, if you told me, all right, what is the game time slot that you do not want for week 1? It is Monday Night Football, because it's week 1. Like, I am, for lack of a better way of putting it, I am a drug addict who's about to get their first hit in a long, long time. I'm going through massive withdrawal. I'm on my deathbed. I'm shaking all over the place, and then you make me wait an extra day.
Yeah, maybe try to find a different analogy.
It's true. Like, we are all addicts of the NFL, and you make us wait an extra day. I hate it.
Maxine LaFlame says, Levin Sign says it all. Pay Ayuk. Debbie Greco watching says, I'm originally from New London. Hooray. Shout out Connecticut fam. Appreciate you. Carlo says, Saubert tight end 2 and Willis tight end 3. I know who's not going to be tight end anything, and that's Cam Latu. I mean, God, there was one play where they threw him the ball. He caught it. Then it popped out of his hands. Then he gets tackled. Then he fumbles, and it was a 3-yard gain. It was like, my God, that's what we got to do for 3 yards? No, thanks, Cam.
Danny Gray had one of those pop up too, and then caught it. He got a first down on it, but it's, you should have caught that right away.
The Big 25 says, thank you for the super chat. Both O-line and D-lines look bad. Moore allowed 8 quarterback pressures. 8? 8 quarterback pressures? Good Lord. That was not ideal. Trent Williams is just sitting back, hands behind the head, just laughing somewhere watching TV. I mean, God, just pay the man.
He's probably in Cabo.
Well, he's on the golf course, I think somebody said, which
it is weird, like, how quiet that front has been. So, like, you haven't heard anything from Trent, from his agent, from the team, nothing.
And nobody reporting, like, well, there was, Diana Rossini did say that no significant progress had been made, but that was the only, like, report about the negotiations that I had even seen. Yeah. Kyle, I did take note of this. Before the game started on the broadcast, Christina Pink said, or is it Kimberly? I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. That's terrible by me. But she said that she talked to Kyle, and Kyle's quote was, "This will get taken care of naturally before the season begins." So I don't really know what that means.
TK did theorize that it's just Trent Williams not wanting to be at training camp.
Christina Pink, sorry. Yeah, Christina Pink. And maybe it is.
I wouldn't blame him.
Marcel Mallow points out that Kyle said after the game that Juwan Jennings didn't play due to an oblique issue. He's not expected to miss much time. Obliques are tricky, though. That's a scary injury. Sometimes they can sneak up on you and take more time than you think. So we may see one of these young receivers out there. Maybe it's Cowing who gets a little more run than usual if Jennings can't go. But again, he does have time to rest up before the regular season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I said, we might not see the present unwrapped of Pearsall, because if Ayuk gets signed, Debo stays healthy, and Jennings stays healthy, he's going to be the fourth string wide receiver. How much are we really going to see that?
Right. At best, fourth string wide receiver.
Yeah.
This is just mean, but also kind of funny from Fish and Chips. Latu, lame ass, technically useless. Latu for his new. It's mean, but it's funny. Just pointing that out. A lot of people seem mad at Brock Purdy. Pitt Black Belt says Brock played like shite. Dobbs played way better. True. I mean,
it's amazing what you do against backups versus starters.
I mean, Brock was not very good tonight. He also played, 3 series? And he had a bunch of but are you worried about Brock Purdy right now? Are you really legitimately worried? Not talking about health, because obviously we were all worried about that. Are you worried that Brock is all of a sudden going to turn into a pumpkin? Because I'm not. He might not be, I'm still waiting to declare him the franchise quarterback for the 49ers, but he's not going to suddenly turn into, some scrub out there. He knows what he's doing.
He has 48 touchdowns to 14 interceptions in his career, including playoffs. They threw that little stat up there on the screen at one point that was the best. I think it was the best touchdown to interception ratio. They listed it as first, but they didn't explain first what. Right. Since he took over as the starter, because I know it's not the most touchdowns. So I assume touchdown to interception ratio since they were listed together.
Oh, we got to get to this too, because I saw a lot of hate. Our boy Jake Moody missed a 51-yard field goal in the game. He made, 2 or 3 others? I think it was 3.
Yeah, they had 16 points, right? So
yeah, he had a 47-yarder, a 24-yarder, 24-yarder. You got to get Jake Moody experience kicking the 24-yard kick, Kyle. You can't go for it on 4th and goal in the preseason.
Well, he could have had a 19 and he went for it, and that was the touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. He should have gone for it every time. But Moody missed it. I know a lot of people were big mad. Jake Moody's the only field goal kicker in the league that has to make every kick. He has to make every kick. He can't miss a single one. Otherwise, people get super big mad because they're still mad he was drafted in the 3rd round. The pick is gone. It is what it is now, but damn, they're coming for his head after every single miss.
Speaking of coming for people's head, Jair Brown did stand out for the brief time that he was in the game. He had that tackle for a loss. He showed flashes last year as a rookie. He certainly seems like somebody that could reach star level.
He looks good. I think it's going to be Mustafa and Jair Brown at safety week 1. I don't think Huff is going to be ready. Hopefully he is. For anyone that might have missed it, by the way, Hufanga had a meeting with his doctor on Thursday last week. Everything went well. So the plan is to start to ease him into practice, which is great, but there's no reason to push it. So I think you're going to see Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa in there.
I think Odom might get more run than Mustafa.
Yeah, he's another guy that's getting pumped up for having a big camp, but we'll see. I mean, Trent Taylor gets pumped up for having a big training camp, and what have we seen from him? So we'll actually see. But you're right, Jair Brown looks good, man. He looked good right away when he came in last year. Not perfect, but he looked good, and he seems to be even better this year.
Yeah, he looks like somebody that's going to make some big plays this season. I just hope if he's learned and gotten better at recognition so that he's in position where he's supposed to be more often, then that athleticism that you see, the big playability. I mean, he had a ton of interceptions in college. You're going to be able to see that flash more without the downside of just getting beat. I mean, there was that play last year when he was a rookie where he lost the guy deep. He let a guy get deep on him because he came charging up thinking it was going to be an underneath route, and it was a double move.
The other thing I thought was better tonight, I thought the pass rush was much better. I thought they basically got almost no pass rush on Tennessee. Now, I don't know if they blitzed more tonight than they did against the Titans. I haven't, obviously watched it that closely yet. But they had 6 quarterback hits tonight. Alex Barrett had a beautiful strip sack where he's literally stripping the ball out of the quarterback as he goes down. I know that Rich Madrid had a tweet earlier about some different fronts that the Niners were throwing at them, talking about, maybe this is Brandon Staley's influence. But it was nice to see a little pressure on an opposing quarterback.
Yeah, and Jalen Graham had the sack towards the end of the game. That was actually pretty. That was one of the last plays I saw before I came downstairs to get ready to record. But they might have something there. I mean, we haven't seen the true front line yet.
Right.
And that front line is one that should be able to get a lot of pressure.
You would think. I know that Yetur Gross-Matos had a nice pressure in this game at one point. Did you see Chase Young on the field for the Saints?
Yeah, he definitely, this was a game for him. He was going full speed.
Yeah, he was.
He was one to show off. I mean, Mark Sanchez even called it out on the broadcast at one point that it's, I think he said something like it's a little unusual to see a defensive end going that hard in the preseason, something like that.
Couldn't go hard in the NFC Championship game, but really, balls to the wall for preseason week 2. Thanks, Chase. I forgot how big he is. He did a sideline interview, and he was towering over Christina Pink. It was unbelievable. Benjamin Bear, thank you for the super chat. All these outstanding contracts, and they show John Lynch with a big smile on his face. What the hell does that guy do if not to get the contracts done? Still a lot of frustration out there, and rightfully so, in my opinion, especially with this Ayuk thing. Like, what are we? We're still not there. Like, Kyle even said, well, he could still get traded. It's like, really, Kyle? Like, still at this point, I don't feel that. Chris Waddell, even on the deep pass to Latu, a little overthrown, but lay out for it. Fighting for your NFL life. Where's the effort? I'd be 150% effort in his spot. I did notice that. So there was a deep ball to him, and somebody I saw on Twitter was like, that ball landed pretty close to Caleb Latu.
He's just not an NFL guy. Let's just call it what it is and move on.
Yeah, I think he's not looking good. I think the tight ends are going to be Kittle, Saubert, maybe Braden Willis, and that's probably is it Tonjes? He might make it. I don't know.
Tonjes did have some flash tonight. There were a couple of times where it was like he actually, beat his guy where he was truly open. There were shorter routes. I didn't really see him getting open downfield, but there were a couple like short out routes where like he actually got a couple yards separation on his guy.
John Brown says Cody Schrader or Matt Breida. Man, I was so pumped to see Cody Schrader. I was like, I want to see if this guy can do it. And I know the blocking, like Chris Forrester said, they didn't block for him at all in the Titans game, which I thought was true. But man, he did not show out tonight. 7 carries for 15 yards for Cody Schrader with a long of 9. So he got 9 yards on 1 carry, and then he ended up with 15 for the day, and he had 6 more carries. And no, sorry, I think Breida is gonna, maybe they put Schrader on the practice squad, but he's not making the final, like the regular roster.
Breida had a different gear. Like you saw that on that little screen pass that he got.
Yeah.
You saw the burst. He still has that burst. Now, obviously there's limitations there, and there's a reason why they moved on from him a few years ago. But if you can get the top 4 healthy, then I really like Breida for a practice squad where he's there. If there's an injury to one of the top 4 guys, you can promote him on game day.
Ramilla Sports Report says, great stream, Robin Levin. When I look at Purdy, I see a guy that struggles versus good defenses, i.e. Ravens, Browns, and when the pressure was turned up in both home playoff games and the Super Bowl. I think every quarterback looks less good against good defenses. That's part of playing a good defense. If you want to say that, that's fine. I think it's fair. I didn't think he struggled in the home playoff games. Like, he didn't start fast against the Lions, but then in the second half, he was great. He did not play great against the Packers. I will give you that one. And in the Super Bowl, I thought he was fine in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play phenomenal. I think a little bit of it is like recency bias. There's been a lot of big games in the Super Bowl lately by quarterbacks. I mean, look at the year before. Jalen Hurts throws for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and loses.
Had a great Super Bowl. One of the best ever, especially for a losing quarterback.
Yeah, so I think things are a little skewed. He played an above average game in the Super Bowl. I don't think he was great, but he played above average. I would also question here, like, I see what you're saying, but there's also, to me, the aspect of the good defenses, guess what they can do? They can take away Debo. And Kyle is slow to adjust away from that.
I think Brock still has questions to answer this year. I think that's totally fair. And I've always said that about Brock. I always say I wanted to see 2 years. So we saw one last year. We'll see this year, and then we'll figure out where to go. But yeah, I think if he has a bad year this year, I don't know if the 49ers all of a sudden rush to give him $60 million a year. I think that they would not do that, to be honest with you.
I think he's getting paid.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll get paid, but he won't get it till August 19th.
I think he's getting paid. Kyle says, I dealt with Jimmy and I dealt with trying to draft a guy. I'm not going back into that well.
Yeah. Well, Kirk Cousins will be back on the market soon enough, right? Now, did you see Tom Brady said, hey, I'm still training because you never know. I might oh my God.
Well, Tom Brady, he's training for, the Niners would be one of the teams, but, this team that's 10-2 just lost their starting quarterback. Let me step in here and try to squeak out another Super Bowl.
By the way, who was at Levi's tonight doing a practice run for
saw.
his broadcasting career? Mr. Tom Brady. Maybe he found his way to Kyle before the game and, gave him a little, hey, make sure you have my number. You never know.
He probably said, hey, my number's still the same. I unblocked you now.
Yeah. You should have grabbed me after the 2019 season, you jerk. But yeah, I thought all in all, a much better showing from the 49ers in this game than in week 1. I liked Dobbs was clearly the most exciting part of the game. The offense felt like it just had a little pace too when he was in there. Like he just kind of picked up the energy and the tempo. I'm totally down for him to be quarterback too. Nothing against Brandon Allen, but I think Dobbs has shown he provides you a little more. I love the rookie class. I thought we're seeing a couple things from some people that's very encouraging. I wish I could have heard more of what Kyle said at the podium. I'm not seeing a ton of quotes from him, so maybe it was just kind of a ho-hum, boring thing from Kyle. But yeah, I was encouraged by tonight, to be honest.
Yes and no for me. I don't have any huge takeaways other than basically cowing, and Dobbs should be in the number 2. But I felt like it was a game where like a lot of the end of the roster the guys that may or may not make this team, they're on that bubble. None of them showed anything that's like, oh, that guy just made the team. There were none of those plays. There were none of those instances of, oh, that guy who's like, maybe he makes it, maybe he doesn't. Well, he just had a big play, so his chances just went up. There was like none of that.
Shanahan said about cowing, I was happy with him. His poise on the punt returns was good to see. Made a couple of plays on jet sweep, a couple of plays as a receiver. For Kyle Shanahan talking about a receiver, that's like glowing praise. Like Jacob,
especially a rookie.
Yeah, should go to sleep a very happy man tonight to hear that from Kyle Shanahan. He did look comfortable on the punts, so I'd like to see that. I still didn't see anything special from the Niners in terms of kick returns. Apparently, Jake Moody did some stuff with the kickoff. Okay. Teams are playing it close to the vest. I still think it's going to be Debo returning kicks once the games actually count.
I think once the games actually count, you're going to get 1 to 2 weeks of returns happening, and then every single team is going, screw this, and kicking it out of the end zone. Because I think, if a team really wants to have a good return, they'll put their stars back there, like the 49ers putting Debo back there, and it's just too easy. I think this will be one of those things that the NFL either tweaks in a very large way or it's a 1 year and done, because it'll be so easy to get big returns
that they won't like it.
Because the whole point of it was to have teams do more returns.
Right.
They were trying to make it more exciting while making it safe. And like I said, I think the adjustment's going to be, by the time you get into the second, third, fourth week, it's going to be every team saying, no, I'm not giving them the opportunity to return.
You heard it on the broadcast. I think it was Mike Pereira was like, 80% of all kickoffs now are being returned. So like clearly they're trying to pump it up as like a thing. And I think the bigger the stakes of the game get, the more you're going to see teams kick it out of the end zone. Like, especially if it's a close game, second half, fourth quarter, teams are just forget it. Kick it out of the end zone, kick it out of the, like, we're not dealing with this. Andre makes a good point, not about kick returns, but just in general. A lot of guys showed why they won't make the team. Latu, Trent Taylor, Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell. I agree on all of those. I don't think any of those 4 are making the team.
Luter will definitely not make this team. He had a really bad game. Nobody else, like I said, like a lot of guys it was kind of a ho-hum game. Like nobody really stood out. Once you got past like halftime, the only things that really stood out other than cowing was the guys who did poorly.
Yeah. How about Malik Mustafa wearing a Ronnie Lott jersey after the game.
Oh, yeah?
Apparently, he bought it right after he got drafted. He met Ronnie Lott. I do like the way like the great players still interact with the current members of the team. I think that's really cool. I just wish, unfortunately, it resulted in a little more success in the championship realm, which, by the way, I just want to say one thing because I see it a lot, especially during the games on Twitter, especially if it's a player that people didn't like drafted, like the fact that Jacob Cowing was drafted, and then after they drafted Pearsall, and it was like, how many wide receivers does it take to win a Super Bowl? If your only refrain this year is going to be, yeah, but the Niners didn't win the Super Bowl last year, like, why are you even watching? Like, I felt this at the beginning of last week, Levin. You weren't here, but I really felt like last season is over. Like, I felt like we could bury it now. It's a new season. It's 2024. I get that they didn't win the Super Bowl last year. Of course, we're upset about that, but I'm not going to be sitting here talking about, oh, they didn't win the Super Bowl last year. Like, no. If they won the Super Bowl last year, they'd still have played a preseason game tonight. Like, let's move forward.
You had me in the first half there, and then you lost me. Yeah, I'm not going to be sitting here going, yeah, but they didn't win the Super Bowl last year. But I'm not, like, last year's not completely gone either. Like, it's all about 2024 now. No, 2023 still has some effect there.
I mean, not for me, man. I'm looking ahead. I'm looking forward. I know what happened in the rear view. I'm still pissed about it, but like, why am I going to dwell on it? It's not going to change. It's not going to do anything for me. I'll still watch the friggin' highlights once a week or once a month or whatever the hell I watch it. But I don't know. I'm just not going to sit there all year and be like, see, that's why we didn't win the Super. Like, damn, man. I'm just not going to do it. So I know there's a lot of 49ers.
Mr. Positivity. I got to stop calling you Grant, what do I call you? Grant Cohen Jr.? No, I call you Mini Grant. Mini Cohen or you're Mini Lombardi.
That's even worse. Moonman Ed, YouTube channel member, says what a wasted pick Latu was, bro. He has not looked great. And the fact that they pretty much ended his rookie year, it was like, oh, he's got a knee injury. IR, you're done. It was like, ooh, they are not encouraged by what they've seen with him. And so far, what we've seen from him is Brayden Willis looks better at tight end. Saubert looks better as a tight end. He did have a nice block on a run, I think, at one point, which I'm sure will go far with Shanahan. But yeah, he doesn't look he needs to flash in game 3. Let's say that.
I think the ship has sailed.
You think it's done?
One preseason game's not going to get you on this roster when you've already had some major negative. Like, there were reports last year about his effort just being complete crap, and then he was out of shape when he showed up to camp and all that. And then, like you just talked about with the deep throw tonight, he could have laid out for it. Probably doesn't catch it, but it was close enough that you would want to see that effort, that intention at least.
Just for, even if it's just for optics, dude, dive for it. Like, what are you doing here? Brock Purdy apparently was asked why he needed to play. I haven't heard this, but I do want to play it for everybody, so I'll bring it up here. This is Brock Purdy talking about why it's important for him to take preseason reps and the hits that come along with them.
You said you didn't mind getting hit. I mean, is that just kind of the rite of passage that you look for in a preseason game? And then,
sorry, I screwed it up. Hang on.
The rite of passage that you look for in a preseason game, and then not only the hit, but you land on your throwing shoulder. So is there a hazard to that?
Yeah, I mean, at practice you're not getting that. You know, you're obviously you get a pass rush and all that kind of stuff, but to get out in the game and understand that, you know, there's a mental clock where you have to get the ball out or else you're going to get hit, or there's times where you do have to stand in there and take some hits. Like, that's the kind of stuff you can't get in practice. And so honestly, it's those things that, you know, I liked just the idea of playing in a preseason game to feel again, you know, before the season gets here and everything. So it's good reps for me. It's a good feel for me as a quarterback. So, you know, I didn't mind it. You know, it's part of the game.
Fans on social media didn't like you getting hit. You feel like you took 3 decent shots in the first 2 series.
God, Eric Grant.
Thought at all like maybe I should duck out of here, not go for a 3rd series?
No, I mean, like I said, it's part of the game and stuff. So for me, I'm not out there freaking out about, oh my gosh, I'm not trying to get hit. I'm like, that's not football. You know, if I'm stepping out on the field, then obviously I know what's at stake in terms of it's a physical game. It's fast. Things happen. You're going to get hit. You're going to fall to the ground. So I know that. But at the same time, am I going to do some crazy scrambling and make up some stuff to try to move the ball? So you gotta be smart in that sense.
But you did that tonight, Brock. What are you talking about? You did do some crazy scrambling. You were whirling around on a naked bootleg and you took a shot. And you threw a wounded duck wobbler up there, by the way. So what are you talking about?
It's probably one of those things that in the moment, he has no he doesn't realize that he held it that long and that he could have gone out of bounds, but instead he did a complete 180 and tried to run away from the defender before stepping back and throwing. He doesn't realize it when he sees the film. I'm sure Shanahan will point it out. See, you don't do this in preseason.
Yeah, like what? Like, dude, you absolutely did that. You did whirl like it. That's hilarious. He literally described the exact play that he did. Look, I get it. Like, he's not going to go out there and say, like, I was afraid to get hit. Of course, he's not going to say that. But that's when the coaches, I feel like, when you see him make that play, I would have been like, all right, you're out. Or you call him back on the sideline. You're like, don't ever do this again. Like, it just takes that one hit. He should know better than anybody, right? It just takes that one shot. You land on your arm. Hell, Trey Lance, right? Remember the throw and then the finger hits the helmet? Just a stupid thing like that. Who knows what can happen when you're out there? So, yeah, Brock, tamp it down a little bit. Preseason game 2 is not the time to be, extending plays for 3-4 seconds at a time.
Did you notice the biggest eyebrows raising part of that whole thing?
What?
His shirt.
What?
Nike is the official NFL apparel. He was wearing an Adidas shirt. There was a big Adidas logo center of his chest. Don't think that's allowed in press conferences. So,
Brock. Yeah, there it is.
I wonder if he has a sponsorship coming. I don't know that I have never heard that he signed with Adidas. Maybe he did, and they just haven't done a big ad campaign yet. We see less of that, not living in the Bay Area specifically, but I do not believe when you are on NFL sidelines or in press conferences, you are allowed to wear other companies other than New Era for hats and Nike.
No, you can wear other hats because they wear the residency hats all the time to press conference.
I guess that's true. New Era is their hat manufacturer, but maybe they don't have that role. Nike's very big on not letting, just like the headphones. You remember when they first had the first company, I forget what company it was, that
Bose?
They had for the sideline headphones, and there was a coach that preferred the Dre Beats, and the NFL fined that coach and made him change them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because Bose, look, they all pay big money for this. Let's see. Shanahan said Brock Purdy and more starters will play in the exhibition finale Friday against the Raiders. Niners have traditionally stuck with that as more of a dress rehearsal, even as other teams have turned to second game for more of that. Brock said he was asked whether he wanted to play tonight last week. He said yes, citing that he wanted to get some game reps and even take a hit or two just to get his feet underneath him. Kyle Shanahan said there was some hesitance given the missing starters elsewhere, but the plan was for Purdy to only play a little bit and not run anything too risky. I almost wonder if Purdy intentionally held it because he wanted to get hit. He mentioned multiple times wanting to take some hits. Like, dude, we could hit you in practice a little. We could control that a little bit. I don't like that from Brock.
I did not like any part or a single play that Brock played.
Yeah,
in this game. There was not a single one that I was like, oh, that was cool.
There were some handoffs that were exceptional.
Yeah. This is not Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. We don't need to talk about quarterback handoffs.
Ben Richards said there was probably a weekend sale at Kohl's on Adidas tees.
There was a weekend sale. I saw it. I wear my normal shirt. I have Adidas athletic shirts in 5 different colors, and I have 3 in each color. That's my normal shirt that I wear throughout most days.
Moonman Ed, it's preseason, Levin. Don't snitch out our guy. Yeah, what if you just got Brock fined, you jerk?
I would say he can afford it, but not until next year.
Well, yeah, he's got quite a few sponsorship, though.
That's true. Yeah,
whatever that corn deal is he has, it seems like he's making good money on that. But, yeah, Brisbee Life. Brock had a few sponsorships locally last year. I expect that to increase a lot this year. He's got plenty. That's for sure.
He has the Toyota. He's the official spokesman of Toyota now.
And it's one of the few times where the guy actually looks like he might drive the car that he endorses. Like Derek Jeter did like a Kia sponsorship or something, and I was like, Derek Jeter ain't driving no freaking Kia, but like Brock might drive a Toyota.
Yeah, the car sponsorship ones are funny. I also like the ones when you have like somebody like Jeter or whoever you want to name, that they do like one of the cheapest alcohols there is. Like, you ain't drinking no Smirnoff. Get out of here.
I'm Derek Jeter for natural ice beer.
I'll do those ads though if you're listening out there.
Right. Yeah, we'll take your money. We are absolutely down for that. I was a little like bummed that we didn't get to see more of D Winters because I was intrigued by him. Yeah. He was up and down in game 1, so I would have liked to see him a little more. Jalen Graham had a sack though. That was cool.
Yeah, it came right towards the end of the game.
Yep.
I don't take a lot from defensive line play in the preseason because so many offensive linemen backups are horrible. There's much better depth in a defensive line than an offensive line. Like, you can just look at how teams use it. Defensive line, there's a rotation. You go, 6, 7, some teams go 8 guys deep on a defensive line. Offensive line, those 5 starters play every single snap unless one of them gets injured.
Just checking my notes to see if there was anything else. I mentioned Curtis Robinson, Renardo Green, Ronnie Bell. I wonder if anybody asked Kyle about why he didn't call plays again. Did you notice, by the way, Sean McVay said he's not even going to coach the second game, and he went up to the broadcast booth. Kyle ain't going up to the broadcast booth during the game.
Well, McVay's looking at his future there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Vlad says Chase Young looked decent. Yeah, nice to see what Chase Young can look like on maximum effort.
I mean, most guys look decent or better when going against Moore. So
Jalen Moore. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to review this game, you can do it. I need to I'll put it in 49ers in 5 again. Rich Madrid once again tweeted out the link to the all 22, which sometimes it takes like a day or two to actually get up there, but he tweeted it out. It's a Google Drive link. So if you want to go and watch, you can watch the condensed game he puts up there or the all 22. Rich has thrown it up there for you. So you can go back. I always do the next day. I always like to rewatch everything. So anyway, I just want to remind everybody of that because it's a pretty cool thing that Rich does. I know he can rub some people the wrong way on Twitter, but that is a very cool thing that he does. All right, Levin, do you have any other big takeaways?
No, this was a game of, like I said, very few takeaways. The backup quarterback spot is decided, and Jacob Cowing might just be something. That's about it.
Fish and Chips says the punter, Rob, needs a mention. Fish and Chips, you missed the start of the show. We started with the punters. Levin was breaking it down. He was, hating on Harvin there and vouching for his guy, Mitch Wishnowsky, who, by the way, I bet his knee feels a lot better after the game tonight.
I would love more info about it.
Well, he's holding on kick. So, he can't be that hurt if he's holding.
Yeah, it's almost like some questions should be asked there. Hey, your punter has not done anything all of camp and preseason. Is there concern that he'll be ready to go week 1? Well, kind of an important thing, because if he's not ready week 1, you have to waste a roster spot on a second punter.
Lombardi already threw out. The Niners could get great value by trading Harvin. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Somebody was like, I demand a first-round pick in return. Let's play hardball. They couldn't even trade Brandon Ayuk when they wanted to. Moonman Ed says, should we be worried about Trent Williams? I mean, they keep saying no, but every day that goes by, I would understand if you worried a little more.
I'm not worried about Trent Williams until if and when Ayuk is traded. Because if I'm Trent Williams at that point, I say, I think maybe I'll retire.
Oh, Kyle Kami asked Brock Purdy what it was like to get play calls from Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak called plays for the Saints tonight. Clay Kubiak calls plays for the 49ers. A very forgivable mistake, to be honest. There's like a billion Kubiaks in the NFL. All their names begin with K.
Well, hold on. And Clint was with the 49ers last year as the pass game coordinator. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a brother-on-brother feud. This wasn't quite the hardball. Had a slightly different feel from the Super Bowl. But yep, Niners win 16-10. Hooray, preseason. They play again on Friday against the Raiders. We'll be here, of course, all week. You got to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the bell so you'll get notified every time we go live, which is every single weekday for you, by the by. So please enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed the game tonight. Thank you, everybody. There's almost 1,000 people watching right now. That is absolutely incredible. If it's your first time catching us, thank you. Give us a chance. Give us a subscription or a follow wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. I promise you, we will keep earning your time. Levin, nice to have you back on the Instant Reacts.
Yeah, new nickname for you, Page 2 spreadsheet.
Page 2. That's just mean. They're also funny. So I got to give you a little credit. I don't like to give you credit. I will give you credit. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. We'll talk tomorrow.